Hello and welcome back to the Obsessive Maker podcast. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sian and this is my channel where I share everything and talk to you about everything that I'm making, whether it be knitting or sewing or crochet or anything else that I want to turn my hand to. So it's been a couple of months since I last shared with you. I actually think it was New Year's Eve that I last posted. So it's been a while. We're now in March. It's officially autumn here in Australia, although it's quite a sweltery, steamy day. So if you see me start to bead up with perspiration, that's why. So it's essentially, it's like 31, 32 degrees Celsius today. But I'm going to persevere and talk to you about everything I've been working on because I've actually finished quite a few things. And before I forget about them and move on to my exciting whips and all the other new fun things I want to make, I want to share them with you because, you know, those of you who've been following for a while, sometimes you want to know what it is I've been working on. So I will start, as is the usual formula, with some of the things that I finished, because last time I spoke to you, I had been working on a knit along for the mini mock neck tank with Kath from the Mindful Melbourne Maker. We actually extended our knit along by a month because both of us were still struggling to catch up, but also it just gave other participants more time to kind of start if they wanted to, and also finish before we kind of drew a winner. So I have finished, and I did actually post a little video on Instagram, but I'll put it here as well in a second. But this is my mini mock neck tank. I knit it from Skein Yarns Clover colorway Daintree base, which is a merino silk bamboo. I can see on the camera it's kind of blowing out a little bit, but I think it'll translate, you know, onto the video quite well. But it's a beautiful kind of emerald green, I would say, rather than a clover green. So this I actually wore last week on another hot day. I wore it to work because in our office it gets kind of cold with the air conditioning, and this was the perfect layering piece. So I wore this with a pair of kind of turquoise linen pants that I've made, and also my go-to pale blue denim jacket, which I love and I literally wear to death. And it just goes so well. It was a really good outfit combo. I will talk about sizing when knitting this because this pattern is written with negative ease, and that is something that I am not used to knitting in, if you know what I mean. When it comes to choosing my sizes, I always err on the side of larger than necessary, I think. So I've been trying to train myself to choose the correct size. And this, I went back and forth a lot about choosing a size for this. Technically, I should have really chosen a size 5, which is a size large, but I ended up choosing a size 6, which is an extra large, because I wasn't sure if my gauge would be correct when knitting in the garment as opposed to the swatch. And it's a different base as well. I wasn't sure if it would be tighter or looser. Anyway, I erred on the side of large, and really I should not have. I should have actually knitted the size large, not the size XL, is what I'm trying to say. So this is lovely on. It's got a beautiful drape, but it's too loose in the armholes, in the arm size. So I am flashing a little bit of bra there. But other than that, I have no issues with it at all. So yes, I really enjoyed the finished object. I will admit though, I did get bored working on it, but that is my tendency when I'm knitting on smaller needles and body island, if you know what I mean. A lot of people have sleeve island. I don't mind sleeves because you're going around a smaller circumference, but for the body, for me, yeah, that's my island. So moving on from that, I finished it. It was great. I also talked last time about making a pair of gingham linen pants, the saguaro pattern by, I think it's Friday Pattern Co. I finished the pair of pants. Here they are. They're nothing to write home about, but they are a good standard wide leg loose linen pant pattern for me, and I highly recommend them. I have worn these a few times. I do still need to do a little bit of finishing on the waistband. I've got to do that zigzag center stitching on the elastic just to stop it kind of twisting around in the waistband casing, and also I made them too long. So I need to take down the hem, cut it off and rehem it probably about 1.5 inches shorter than it currently is. I kind of like wearing cropped linen trousers because they give a little bit more breeziness around the ankle, and also the heels don't drag or get caught on my shoes as well. Whereas these at the moment, I'm tripping over them. So it's not ideal, but it's, if you're looking for a good trouser pattern, just a bog standard, wide leg, elastic waist, comfortable, simple trouser pattern, I do highly recommend the Saguaro set. It comes as a set, a top and the pants, so 2 for 1. Alternatively, there are other patterns out there, but I quite like this. It gives a nice shape for me, and I really like the side seam pockets as well. They're that kind of slightly offset from the side seam, and they're nice and deep because we all need deep pockets. So yes, that's another finished object. I do really love linen pants. They're just my go-to garment in summer. It's far too hot and humid here. We don't even live in Queensland where it's humid pretty much all the time, but when Melbourne gets humid, it gets humid. So, so I'm gonna show you another woolly item now. Over New Year and I think early January, I really wanted to finish my Starflake shawl. I'd been working on it for a while, and I think in the first month I burned through and knitted up, I would say 80% of the pattern, and it's kind of like, what's that saying? You gotta eat the last 20% of the elephant or something. Oh no, that's the chunking metaphor, isn't it? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I'm getting my metaphors mixed up. Anyway, I have a colleague who says the last 20% is always the hardest. And she's right, because, you know, it's easy to maintain that momentum when you're working on something that you're excited about, but 4 weeks in, you kind of lose that excitement and that momentum. So I did put it aside for a little bit, but I decided it was time to finish it. And here she is. She's far too big to get the entire thing on camera. So I'm leaning back as far as I can. But I'm really happy with it. And the colors are just divine. Again, they're blowing out on camera. Maybe that's probably a bit better. There we go. I just love it. A lot of people have made this shawl, so I won't talk about it too much, but it was written, I think, for 2 colors. I had lots of colors in my stash that I wanted to use, but I thought these 3 would work really well together. So I decided to wing it and knit it up in 3 colors. And as I was knitting it, I just made a decision to knit what the color contrast I thought was most appropriate at the time for that pattern section of the pattern. I will just say I got to the point on the edges where all these big eyelets are where I lost count of stitches. I lost some stitches. I didn't pick up any, but I lost some stitches. So the thing I love about Stephen West is that he's so chill about, you know, picking up stitches, like adding them where you need to if you've lost one, or, you know, knitting 2 together. I mean, who's going to know? He's so right. Who's going to know? So At one point I was completely off and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to add one here, add one there, and then hopefully it'll balance out. Thankfully it did, and no one knows but you and I. But I can't tell you where exactly it happened because I can't remember. I've blocked it from my memory. Because all I want to do right now is just enjoy this beautiful fluffy thing. So the yarns I use, I think I've spoken about before. It's a mixture of fingering and mohair, but the mohair isn't held throughout. I just held mohair with this colorway here. Oh gosh, here we go. I'm so out of practice. Sorry guys. Yeah, just held mohair with this colorway here. The hot pink had no mohair and the purple had no mohair until I found a light coloured purple mohair in my stash that I used on this bit of garter here for the end, just to give a little bit of extra fluff. So I added that in there and I love it. I can't wait to wear it. It's a one size shawl, I think. I probably could have extended. I think there's an option in the pattern to extend the hem. The hem, is that what we call it in a shawl? I don't know. The edges, probably that's the better term actually. Yeah, so I'm really happy with it. I can tell you exactly what yarns I used. I'm just going to check Ravelries. So I used, for the purple, purpley blue, I used Artemis Yarn's High Twist fingering in the colour Wisteria. I actually got that in an advent from Artemis Yarns from, it wasn't this past Christmas, I think it was the one before, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The hot pink, this one here, that is Melbourne City Dye Works Sock in colourway 17. It's the most delightful, cool toned hot pink. I love it. And I still have some left over and I've used it in another project. So yeah, I'm excited to keep using it. And the main, I would say this is the main colour, the kind of peachy colour. That is Stitchcraft and Wizardry's House Elf Liberty Base in the colourway Can't Stop the Feeling. And I held that together with some silk mohair from Skein Yarn in the colourway Papaya. And funny story, when I first bought that papaya mohair, I bought 3 skeins of it. I've used it on the tulip sweater or tulip pullover or jumper, whatever she calls it. I've used it on that and I had pretty much a whole skein left. And so I used it in this and I still have some left over. So it's almost like all my favourite yarns just keep going on. They just keep going and going. It's fantastic. So it means I can use it in another project. So yes. Now, what else do I have to share with you? The crochet shawl, which is literally right behind me. So this bad boy, its first iteration was actually a granny stripe blanket, but I chained on too many chains. I don't know my terminology, so please forgive me. And I made it far too wide, wider than a king size bed. And I crocheted about that much in length when I got to the point, the realization where I was like, it's not gonna happen. Let's just frog this and we'll turn it into something else. And this is what I turned it into, a giant granny stripe triangle shawl. Ta-da! So I've just used all my leftovers from other projects and from advents and things like that. And I even did a little scalloped hem detail, which I thought was quite pretty, but I do think it kind of gets lost in the grander scheme of the shawl. So it's quite large. It's far too hot to be doing this, but it's large enough to probably tie back around my waist. Almost. but it's certainly large enough to keep me warm in winter. But I can also wear it as a nice big cowl type thing. So it's just nice to have around the house. It does get kind of cold and damp here in winter. I don't actually have a lot more to say about this, but I didn't use a pattern. So I went onto YouTube. I just needed a little tutorial on how to start a granny triangle, and from there I just continued. So I decided I was going to use a 4.5mm hook and DK weight yarn. This is a mixture of DK held with mohair, or 2 strands of fingering held with mohair, or a strand of fingering and mohair. So it's a mix of anywhere from sport through to probably worsted weight, all on a 4.5mm needle. So the density of the fabric is different at different points in the shawl, but that doesn't bother me. So yes, no pattern, just a YouTube tutorial. And then finally for the edging, scalloped edging, again, another YouTube tutorial. So YouTube's a wonderful resource for learning how to do things, and then you just go with the flow and know your limits and test your boundaries and try things out, and they will either work or they don't. And I will just say, I'm not a huge fan of this second stripe of yellow. I really like the first one, but they're different tones. This is a little much for me, but it doesn't matter. It's in there, it's part of the fabric now, so the whole thing gives me joy. Who cares? Everything has its imperfections. Lots of colour, huh? I have more colour for you, but not quite yet. Or do I? I'm all disorganised today. Discombobulated. It's been 2.5 months since my last podcast. Who can blame me? So I'm just going to check my list. Okay. Oh, I made a pair of baby socks. I'm never doing it again. I'll post a little photo in here because I've already got them wrapped up, ready to gift. But our Sunday, our monthly Sunday knit and crochet group that we go to is at a local cafe, and it's run by this really lovely couple who are having their first baby together, and all of us have made something for the baby. So I thought, what's the easiest thing I could possibly make that would be useful? And so I knit a pair of baby socks. I used some yarn I had chosen for another project, but frogged it. I can't tell you what it is. It's a fingering weight yarn. I held it double, and basically these are DK socks. I can't remember the name of the pattern designer. I'm really sorry, I'm disorganized, but they're really basic baby socks. But I'll put the name of it here as well. So yes, didn't enjoy it, but they're super cute. So that is done. It's another finished object. Oh, that's what I wanted to show you. Where is it? Here it is. So you know how I like to try and do things for myself, and you know, figure out how things work and make things rather than, you know, probably just buy one and make my life easier. Well, I got it into my head that I wanted to make an I-cord tool. You know, one of those things that has like 3 latch hooks. I think they're latch hooks, yeah. I think that's what you call them, or knitting machine needles, we'll just say that. And you can make an I-cord from it. Well, I gathered some supplies. I found not a YouTube tutorial, I found a blog post that gives you a tutorial on how to make it with just some knitting machine needles and Fimo, or polymer clay. So I got myself some needles, I got myself some polymer clay, and I had a go of it. And actually you can see one of the first drafts just up there on my pin board. Yeah. But I have the second one in my hand here, and I'll just show you. I decided to make it carrot shaped. Isn't that cute? So yes, it's not perfect. It's workable, but if I was to make it again, I'd probably change a few things. I will link the tutorial in the description below because it's a really good, it just shows you how to do it, and there is actually a video linked in there as well. Yeah, really, really good. And if you want to have a crafty afternoon and you can't get access to purchasing an iCord tool, or you want to make it yourself, the tutorial actually gives you links to where you can purchase some of the supplies. The only thing is that the supplies, these needles, they do have to be purchased in bulk. And when I say in bulk, it's usually like a pack of 50. I found a supplier online that had a pack of 5 different sized hooks. So I bought 3 packs. So I ended up with 15 hooks as opposed to 50 hooks. But I managed to use 6 of those. One for my tester one up here. I won't get it down, it's attached to the board. And then some for this one as well. But yeah, it was quite fun to make. Very simple. I'm not sure in its current state it's very easy to use. And the latches on the hooks, they kind of get stuck in their different positions. So when you wrap the yarn over to then pull it and knit the I-cord, sometimes you can drop a stitch. So, but hey, look, there are so many other I-cord tools out there. I used to have a little doll, little soldier, wooden soldier one with, I would say, like 4 loops on its head. And then it had a hole running through the center of the doll, and that's an I-cord tool as well. And I remember using that as a kid. Honestly, I probably still have it somewhere, or maybe my mum does in her sewing basket. So there are those ones as well, and I know they sell them in craft shops. So you don't have to use something like this. I just thought it'd be cool to try it. So why not? And it's a cute little carrot. So it's carrot on one side, but it's not as detailed on the other. But yeah, bit of fun. So that is everything I finished. I feel like I've been pretty productive. It's been quite a busy and stressful couple of months. Lots of transitions, particularly with work and stuff. So I've really been pouring all my energy into creating. I am motivated these days by joyful, whimsical, fun things, and you will see a lot of that in my whips that I'm about to show you, and you'll probably see a lot of that in the year to come, because I feel like the world and life is difficult enough. So let's just go with the joyful things. Create pretty, happy things, and don't feel under any obligation to do anything we don't want to do when it comes to our hobbies and the things that bring us joy. So, saying that, I have promised to make myself my husband a pair of corduroy pants. That is an obligation, but also it will bring me joy when I'm finished them. So I have been promising my husband a pair of corduroy pants for about 4 years now. So what I'm doing to counteract that sense of obligation is I'm sandwiching that project between happy projects. And I want to share a happy project with you right now. This one is a sewing project. I have been wanting to make I would say, I don't know, would someone say cottagecore? Some would say whimsical, some would say feminine, whatever you want to call it. I've been wanting to make like a patchwork Liberty print bomber jacket for ages. And not only that, is I'm making it a quilted, slightly puffer jacket, and I'm partway through. So So I've been chipping away at this project for several months. I had purchased some of the fabrics, but I also had a lot left over from other projects. And what I did is I cut out all my squares and I've sewed them all together into smaller pieces of fabric that I can then cut out the pattern pieces from it. But before I cut out the pattern pieces, I also had to quilt it, and using some wadding and obviously a backing fabric as well. And this fabric here has been in my stash forever. It's an Ellie Whittaker blue ringed octopus fabric. I've wanted to use it for ages, but I always felt it was a little bit childlike, and it put me off using it to make like a dress or a top or a shirt like this. But I think this is the perfect project for it because I get to enjoy it, but I don't end up feeling like a childish little girl wearing it, if you know what I mean. So this project is really difficult. It has been a lot of detailed work, but I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know what it is. I thought I'd bitten off more than I can chew when I first started cutting out all of the squares for this, but I just love it. All of the different colors, all of the different fabrics just bring me such happiness. And the quilting, rather than a boring straight quilting line, I've gone with like little squiggly lines in a diamond shape. I've done a welt pocket. I literally just did this welt pocket today. I haven't finished it. It's still open on the back. But I am so happy with this thing. This is giving me such joy and happiness. And honestly, I will tell you what pattern it is, but I have hacked it a bit. So this is the Seamwork Larkin bomber jacket. I'm going with a size 20, but I think I should have actually sized down. I went with a 20 to be slightly larger because I knew working with a quilted fabric, the puffiness, the loft of the batting would reduce some of the wearable ease a little bit on the inside of the jacket. So I erred on the side of caution and I went slightly larger. Also, I want to be able to wear long sleeve tops and stuff underneath it as well in winter. So I wanted to give myself a little bit of ease, a little bit more ease than expected. And the mods I'm making to it are, it has a zipper, but I'm doing button bands. So this is actually a button band that I'm going to put buttonholes into. It has ribbing for the waist, but I'm not doing ribbing. I'm doing fabric covered elastic, and I'm covering the elastic with patchwork fabric. I'm doing the same with the cuffs, with the, where the ribbing would be on the cuffs, I'm doing the same with that, so patchwork covered elastic. And then for the neckline where ribbing would be, I've made a puffy faux ribbing collar out of the quilted patchwork fabric. So, so as I said, I did a few hacks and I've made really good progress. I actually started this in late January. I started cutting out all of the pieces, and then Emma from Emma's Atelier on Instagram, she decided to host a bomber jacket February, like a sew along. So I thought, count me in. This is a really good opportunity for me to get some momentum going on this project. So I joined a few other ladies in bomber jacket February. Of course, I haven't finished, but I got a lot done. I quilted all my pieces of fabric. I had to quilt a huge piece for the back of the jacket, 2 pieces for the front panels, and then obviously 2 pieces for the sleeves as well, and then all the other little bits and pieces. So there was a lot of quilting. I did chip away at it, probably most of it the last week or so. But, you know, I just put on an audiobook, put my headphones on and got cracking. And it was a really nice, easy thing to do after work and to kind of like put in a few hours on a weekend as well. And this has been a long weekend here in Melbourne, so I've got a lot done this weekend. I've managed to cut out all my pattern pieces and start on like welt pockets and button bands, like the fiddly little stuff. There's a little bit of hand sewing that I need to do because I didn't plan properly when it came to my modifications that I wanted to make. I could have probably planned better, but I have quite a bit of hand sewing I need to do to hide this seam on the inside where I sewed on my button band. And also when it comes to actually putting in pockets, it's a little fiddly where I actually had to cut out some wadding from some of the seam allowances to manipulate the fabric to how it should be to finish off the pocket. So I'm really happy with it. I'm enjoying the process. It's a big fiddly project, but I will be really happy with it when it's finished. So yeah, anyway, that's enough about that project. I'll keep you posted. So that's one really fun, happy thing I've been working on. But also back on, my Boxing Day. I'm going to call it my Boxing Day cast on because technically I did cast it on Boxing Day. I got the Green Tea Yarns Advent 12-day Aurora Australis Advent calendar. And it was a beautiful array of, I would say, pastel neons from yellow all the way through to purple. And I really wanted to use them all together in a project. I didn't want to do one of those Advent projects where you do a fade. I wanted to do something like Colorwork. And I think I talked to you about this last time, but I'd only done a little bit of it. So I decided to knit up the Soldotna Crop by Caitlin Hunter. And I've made quite a bit of progress. This, my friends, is my Soldotna Crop. Actually, I'll show you the back because I'm at that point where I've got the sleeves on hold. This is my Soldotna Crop and I am completely in love with the colour work. It's just amazing. I have used quite a few of the colours from the Advent, not all of them, but this is the kind of project where you do need colour contrast. And when it comes to using an Advent, you don't always get colour contrast because it's always going to be a bit of a fade. Well, my particular one was, but I managed to use the purple, the blue, the green, this other purple, this other blue, this other green, and the yellow. And I added in the orange and the hot pink. And I will just say that hot pink is the same pink that's in my Starflake shawl. And the orange is left over from my sailor beanie that I made with Maximoo yarns. I think it was Lava Flow. Yeah, I still have some of that left because again, it's just another colour that I'm absolutely in love with. But this, I adore. I adore it. Now, I am knitting, which colour am I, not colour, which size? I am making size, have I even listed it? No, I'm so bad at this. I never list the size. I can't tell you what size. I think it's size 7. Something like that. It's written on the printout that I've got downstairs in the living room. So anyway, my size gets me to work in Colorwork a little bit further down. So this here was supposed to be extended to there. And I knit that, but I couldn't do it in, I really wanted to do it in 3 colours. I wanted this V to be one colour and these to be another colour. But then you're also working this main colour here. So I would have been working with 3 yarns, which would have just been too dense in the back. So I had to make an executive decision and I decided not to continue the colour work beyond the end of the V's. And I just knitted and stockingette until the instructions told me to separate for sleeves. And I'm really happy with that decision because it means that that yellow, that neon yellow, is not overwhelming the rest of the colourwork. If I just continued in that, it would have become the dominant section of the colourwork, and all of this would have been visually just lost to the eye, if you know what I mean. So to keep that colour balance, that's the decision I made. So yes, so the yarn is Green Tea Yarns Aurora Advent. The yarn itself is a silk merino base. It is beautiful. It's still kind of, it's got, I want to say loft. It's got loft, it's got body, but it's also got that silkiness and that drape. And even though I've thrown in a couple of mohairs, because I had some matching mohairs for some of the colours, it's still going to have a really nice drape. I did actually try this on, so I'll put a little photo in here so that you can see what it looks like on. But yeah, I'm so happy with that. So now I'm just on Body Island. So I'm slowly chipping away at this. But I have other fun projects. All the fun projects. I was a little disappointed recently actually, because I decided to knit some socks for my dad for Christmas, but I didn't get around to actually knitting them at Christmas. So I started them, I chose some fun colors I showed you last time. I haven't got it with me because I had to frog it because I made them too big, and I actually got Dad to try them on and they were far too loose. So I frogged them and I have to start over again. So that was a little disappointment. So doesn't matter. I will start them up again. I will. My aim is to get them done for his birthday in April, so I need to get cracking soon because I'm not a fast sock knitter at all. I get excited in the beginning, but like I said earlier, I tend to lose momentum and interest. So yeah, but I will get started on those soon. So they are a redo, but another project I have started, there's been this obsession lately in the knitting community, and quite rightly so. I mean, I can see why people are obsessed, but an obsession with hoods. Now, if I lived in a really cold climate, I totally get it. Hoods are amazing. And because I fantasize about living in a cold climate again, I've decided to knit one. So I've decided to choose a really vibrant pink because you won't miss me when I'm wearing it. And I am knitting the Billie hood by, again, I'm completely unprepared, the Billie hood by Emily Louise. She describes it as being knit in broken rib. It's not broken rib, not like we know broken rib. It is, I think, a half fisherman's rib. So it's like a fisherman's rib on one side, but on the inside it does kind of look like broken rib. I have always steered clear of fisherman's rib only because other knitting friends have said they've had horrific experiences with it, but having knit it now, I don't feel like it's that bad. I think it's quite nice. It's almost brioche-like, which again is another knitting stitch that I'm adverse to trying because I'm just like, I don't know. I think it's one of those mental hurdles that I've talked about in the past. But I really like this. It's got a really nice drape. I've knit the larger size because I've measured my head and I had kind of a big head. And in hats I tend to have to get the larger size hat. So I've knitted the larger size. I think it's probably the right size. So here we go. This is the top of the hood to the chin. There we go. This is a really effective way of trying to measure a hood side by side. So, but I love this. I'm not going to knit it exactly to pattern. Sorry, I've got fluff up my nose. The pattern itself continues in the rib. the broken rib or half fisherman's rib, and then it splits for a front and back bib in stockingette. I don't think I'm going to knit those parts of the pattern. I might just continue this to like a cowl length, so maybe about that much longer, and then bind off in, I don't know, 1x1 rib or something, because I don't really need the front and back bib. I'm just here for the hood. I'm here for the fun, colourful hood. Yeah, so I'm really happy about that. And I've been knitting on this on the train, and whenever I get my knitting out, I get lots of looks. Always, you know, interested in positive looks, which is good. But yeah, again, another bright, colourful, happy, serotonin-based project. What else have I got for you? I have been working on a couple of long-standing whips. You can actually see one of them here behind me. This is my my Whitmore sweater. I've been making progress on the body because I was on Body Island with that as well. And I've actually made quite a bit of progress. I've probably knit about that much. I've had it beside the bed and I just kind of pick it up if I'm sitting in bed watching TV and working on it. So I will get there. It may be a multiple year whip. It's fine. Just chipping away at it. So, but isn't it pretty? My parents gave me this, I want to say like a body form, like a dressmaker's form, but it's not a dressmaker's form. It's one of those wire-framed models that men's department stores had to display their ties. So it's petite, but it's big enough to hold my jumper. It's more like, if you were to compare it to actual human size, it's more like child size. But it's really useful to kind of visually remind me that I have a project to work on and pretty up my space as well. And can I just show you my IKEA lamp? Did I show you last time? Hang on. I got one of those donut lamps from IKEA. I think it's really cool. Anyway, I've totally ruined my setup now. So yes, that is what I've been working on. I have started something new. I'm not actually sure if I want to talk about it because it's a me-made design. It's my design, and I have a terrible history of designing things in the past and never finishing them. But I've been working on something the last 4 days, and I am probably a third way through the sample, but I've written up the pattern already. But I'm not sure if I want to put it out into the universe, but it's giving me lots of fun and excitement at the moment in seeing it kind of come to fruition. If I'm happy with it, I might knit it up in another sample to see what it looks like. Because at the moment I'm working on it in a bunch of yarns from my yarn wall as a kind of fade. The fade's not working out how I wanted it to, and I don't want that to tarnish the design of the pattern, if you know what I mean. And at the moment I feel like the fade not working out is tarnishing that, is tarnishing the pattern. But the pattern is actually really, I think, is really good. It's simple, it's effective, it's visual, it's kind of graphic, and it's an easy knit. It just might take up a lot of yarn. So I don't know if I want to, I'm not sure if I want to bring that baby into the world to show everyone, but I thought I'll just talk about it a little bit to give myself some bravery. Anyway, I'm enjoying working on that, but that's downstairs next to the sofa, so I can work on that while watching some Severance or Silo. I've got a 3-month free trial to Apple TV at the moment, so I'm watching all of the depressing series. I wasn't sure about Severance. I found the first half of season 1 really dreary and depressing, and then I got into it, and then I binged season 2 this weekend. I think there's a couple more episodes coming out, but I can see the appeal now, whereas before I felt like it was a bit too much like a depressing workplace drama. Anyway, that was just my experience of watching Severance. So yes, that is pretty much everything at the moment. I think I have another couple of projects that I haven't really made much progress on. But yeah, I've just been trying to fill my creative time with fun and exciting projects and things that, like, if you have a Pinterest account, I think you'll know what I mean. You pin things on there and they're like the aspirational things, right? They're the things that you like, that's an idea that maybe I could use one day, or that's a recipe that I want to try but I'm never going to do it. You know, it's aspirational. Maybe it's just me that uses Pinterest that way, but I've gone back to my Pinterest boards and I thought, you know what, I put these here for a reason. I'm going to go through, and if those things still excite me, perhaps they're things I should do and things I should try. And that's kind of where the general idea for this came about. A patchwork kind of quilted bomber jacket. And I thought, why procrastinate? I've procrastinated enough in my life. Don't procrastinate over the fun things. Just do it. Just do it. So yes, so that's what I'm doing. And I'm casting on things when I get the urge. I have a pair of trousers cut out waiting for me over on the dumping ground that is the spare bed. They're going to be really nice when I actually sew them up, but they're just kind of like, you know, useful trousers. They will be lovely, so I'm eyeing them up. Maybe I'll work on them later, but that means I have to change the thread color on my sewing machine, which is a really minor task, but it's a huge procrastination hurdle. So anyway, so that is pretty much everything. If you have any questions about anything I talked about, please pop it in the comments, because I have every intention when I come on here to talk about the project, like the yarn I use, the size I knit, what issues I had, or the techniques I hadn't tried. I feel like I've ticked those boxes, but I'm aware in previous videos I've kind of just rambled about how pretty the yarn is, or I don't know, like really non-useful points. But if there are any things that I haven't covered that you want to know, please just ask. I tend to check the comments after I launch these videos on YouTube for about a week or so. So if you post a comment after that and I haven't got back to you within a few days, maybe just, you know, kind of poke me, send another comment, or pop over to Instagram, because I'm on that daily. I mean, let's face it, we all are, aren't we? So if you really have a burning question, pop on over to my Instagram, which is the Obsessive Maker, and send me a DM. Or comment on one of my posts or whatever, that any of your questions, I'm happy to ask. I mean, I'm happy to answer. So yes, so that's everything for now, and I'm sure I'll have another catch up with you soon, and by soon I'll probably mean in another 3 months time, and that'll be like a winter update. Let's call this like the summer update, or the autumn update, seeing as it is actually autumn. So yeah, so that's everything from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you've watched this far, I don't know how long I've been recording, 50 minutes. Let's see if I can cut that down in editing. So I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, or morning, or weekend, or week, wherever you are, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today. Take care until next time. Bye.